Okay, I think it worked this time. What's up?
Hello, how are you?
Folks, this is it's fine. It's just take two. This is how we do. Welcome to Inside CKP, where I have the honor, the excitement, the joy of being joined by, I don't know which way I'm pointing, so I'm just gonna wave, Trisha Wooldridge. Woo!
Hello! I'm so excited to be back here on Inside CKP on my baby book birthday.
Baby book birthday. That's how prepared you are. You've got props and everything. Oh my gosh, I'm so
Yes!
excited. I'm so excited. Okay, before we jump in, I am supposed to do things. So very quickly, this podcast is brought to you by Chris Kennedy Publishing. Go figure. You're on the YouTube channel. What you should do is go to chriskennedypublishing.com and sign up for the newsletter. Check out all the cool coming events and books that are coming up. In the newsletter, sometimes you can sign up to be an early book reader. Like some people are very lucky and got a copy of this book that they got to read early because they signed up. So you should get on that newsletter. You'll hear all the things coming from CKP. As you can imagine, it's like something new every week. There's also links to the fabulous CKP Patreon, where you get sneak peeks at all kinds of upcoming things. You get readings from authors. You get behind the scenes stuff. It's all very cool. So you should check that out. There are other links too. You should go to the website and find them. So here we are. Yeah, there you are. There's Amazon. You can find all the books. Buy them. Hooray. Speaking of books, though, we are here today to talk about, hold up that beautiful book again, Trisha.
Shadow, Ash, and Prophecy.
Book 2 in the 27 Kingdoms series.
Yes.
Oh, look at that. There's book 1
It is
and
so
book 2.
pretty. That's so pretty.
It really is. Oh my gosh, dragons. So
yes,
I'm in, obviously. Let's do this thing.
I don't have a dragon on it, but this is from Taiwan.
I mean, that's pretty cool. Anyway,
yes.
So, this is from a flea market. So, so beautiful. Okay, so folks, as you join, welcome. We're so happy you're here. Feel free to put questions in the chat. I'm sure they will show up for us, and we will be able to put them on the screen and talk about them, unless they're wacky, in which case I make no promises. Also, Trisha and I have a few things in common. One is which we are easily distractible. Is that the word? Would you phrase that differently? I don't know. We can be distracted.
Yeah. We like shiny things, like dragons.
This is accurate. And also cool rocks, of which I have many in front of me.
Oh my gosh.
So, yes! See? This is the joy. Our joy is here. So as folks are in the chat, thank you so much. We've got a couple of fabulous authors. I'm going to show you 3 in rapid succession. There's H.Y. Gregor. Just had a book come out last week. There's Nick Plummer.
Yeah, I was so excited. I haven't started it yet, but it's my TBR pile's over there. I can only have so many props.
Trisha, I may or may not be on book 3. It's fine. Everyone should send me their books so I can read them. I love you all. And we also have Charlie Cox, newly published in the 4A2 as of last week. So awesome. I love authors supporting authors.
Yes.
Also, this is a group of kick-ass ladies we have going on right here.
Yes, exactly.
I'm into this.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm enjoying the Feral Ladies one too, by the way. Really enjoying the Feral Ladies.
Oh yeah, expect to be on it soon. So you can check that out on this channel, you guys. It's here. There are 2 episodes. H.Y. Gregor was in the second one. We love her. I'm not gonna lie, I love all the people involved in this chat right now. So this is pretty great. Oh look, there we are, Feral Ladies.
Yay!
But more importantly, for this particular moment, because it is a book birthday. Trisha, I feel like you should tell us about this book.
Okay, so Shadow, Ash, and Prophecy was the book that I never planned to write.
I love that.
So when I pitched the Princess and the Dragon cycle in the 27 Kingdoms to Rob, I got the, give me a trilogy.
Right, standard CKP answer. That's how we do.
Yes, and like it needed to be a trilogy because I had cut it down trying to sell it at a lot of the larger publishing, and it was compressed. And he asked me a whole bunch of questions of stuff that I'd actually cut out or outlined and said later. I'm like, you understand, you know what I'm doing with this. Yes. And that just is like, okay, so the first book that came out, Heartwings Fire, which I don't know, I also have handy.
Also have right there. So beautiful.
So that one, I did with Rob was most of what I had written. There wasn't a heck of a lot of changes until I started working on book 2, which was going to be what is currently book 3, Hunter Healer Earth. And I wanted to take a dip back into the Jungle Fae that helped Beria through the book 2, the third part, because I do like books within books. Like, so each one of these has 3 acts, and I call them books.
Yeah, love it.
So Act 2, Book 2 of Heart, Wings, and Fire, Beria is with the Jungle Fae, who she had forgotten but had adopted her when she was a child. And I wanted to know what happened to them because they just kept pestering me. And in the early drafts of this, like it was really, really short. And my writing group was like, no, you need to tell us more. I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay. Then I wrote it too long. And my writing was, you need to cut. Okay. But there was a lot going on with them that I didn't realize. I'm like, okay, well, what I'll do is, because I had about 30,000 words that was going to go into Hunter, Healer, and Earth. And those are still going in there. I'm like, I can fill in the rest and go back and forth with the Jungle Fae. Well, 250,000 words later.
And how many months were those 250 words written, Trisha?
Literally 6 months. Like I was... They were not shut up. I mean, when you get to meet them, you'll totally understand. Especially Chimayo, who has like maybe 3 pages in Heart, Wings, and Fire, and ends up being a pretty big player here because she's super irreverent, a seer, and she really dislikes what the gods give her for information. She's like, no, I hate this. Why? So she's a seer with opinions. She's also very irreverent. So... yeah, but the gods find her entertaining. So
that's a thin line, I would imagine, but a good one.
It is. So she ended up being one of the 3 point of view characters. So we had Koki and Mokeen, who people met in Heart, Wings, Fire. We met Chimayo briefly there. She's their best friend. And then she pops in here and like, oh, hey, I got a vision that Mokeen's going to die, which I'm not giving a spoiler because that's in the back of the book.
Right. Surprise!
Like, yeah. So if you haven't read the back of the book, Chimayo gets a vision that Mokeen, the really sweet healer that helped Beria overcome like the abuse, because he also comes from an abusive family. By the way, yeah, she sees he's going to die, and that sucks.
That's real bad. Yeah, I don't like that.
And like and in the middle of that, also, which like I had gone there, so Beria had escaped the prince, right? And she had gone through there. And so the prince looking for her has invaded this poor bunch of village fae.
Jeez. Yep. Oops.
Yeah. And while invading, he kills Koki's parents. And she didn't realize that because she had gone to go try and warn Beria, hey, hide.
Yeah, he's coming.
So the first chapter is basically Koki has come back because she had gotten pushed back by the dragon to get home safely. Because Bear's like, get my friend home, get my adopted mom home safely.
Yeah.
Does that. What happens? She comes home, she's safe. Her parents are dead. Her healer husband is carrying a spear and protecting her parents' bodies. And she's like, what has happened to this world?
Right. This is not what was supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's turned upside down. And so you've got this village that's been invaded by the humans, who are bigger than the Fae. And on top of that, you're getting a whole bunch of prophecies because there's more to the humans than meets the eye. And there is a certain danger that's kind of infected that the prince has been part of, but also some people in the village have been hit by that, including Mokeen's father, who's the chieftain of the village. So yeah, so the entire world is like messed up, and who's like, is this even my home? And so she and Mokeen and Chimayo have to work to save their people from the danger presented by the Hotarans and the hidden danger behind that.
Oh man. And you have a really great like arc kind of pitch. Do you want to share that for book 1 and book 2 and as far as you want to?
So the overall pitch of it is that Beria has to, save herself from this terrible abusive family, from being forced into being married to the prince. Before she can save herself, she has to save the dragon.
I mean, gotta save the dragon.
And that continues to be a thing, the interplay between Birya and the dragon, and how both have to help each other grow before either of them can help themselves. And then when you have something that big, all the people along the way that affect it. So while we don't have much of Birya and the dragon in this book, the shadow, they're in the shadow of what just happened, which is why I was playing with the title Shadow, Ash, and Prophecy. If you've ever read like the Ender's Game series, you also had Ender's Shadow, which was what happened to Bean. This is kind of that. So you're learning what's going on with Birya and the dragon based on what's going on with these jungle fae, and you're learning how much danger they're both actually in.
Yes, and it just makes the world bigger because you're seeing the same events from different perspectives, and then the aftermath is different because it's happening to different people.
Right.
I love that. It makes the world feel so big.
And I also got to play with a little bit of like a foil test. So Birya's on her own. She, has horrible, terrible family who not at all supportive. She's on her own. The jungle fae had taken her in and counted her as family, but their culture is very, very supportive. That was also one of the biggest challenges while writing it. Is like when you've got like your lone wolf character that has no one to depend on, you don't have to worry about their friends who are going to do stupid shit trying to help out.
Right.
On the other hand, Koki and Mokeen have some really good friends who are going to get in danger because they're helping. And that makes it really hard, because when you have characters that care about each other, they're going to affect the overall plot. And that was part of the difficulty and why it ended up being so much longer. And then having them entwined in Birya's fate, to say a thing. So what she's, her destiny, and her choices. Like, they're like, we haven't talked with humans for years. Why is this affecting us now?
We didn't actually want this. We didn't ask for this. I'm not sure why their cooties are
exactly. Like, they had a bunch of wars with humans, which I reference in here, and they pretty much like, all right, we're shutting our borders. Those human giants, they suck. We don't like them.
We're done with this. Yeah. That's awesome. It's a no thank you situation. So we've got more amazing people have joined the chat, including Melissa Altoff and her writing twin, Nick Steverson.
Thank you.
So they are both awesome people and authors also as well. Also big fans of dragons, rightly so. But all the smart kids are here today. Ooh, speaking of the smart kids, we have a giveaway.
We do, yes.
Do you want to show up? So I called, we're a few minutes in, I called Trisha flat out an asshole today because she made this with her own hands. Can you see how beautiful this is? She is so talented. No, I'm still mad.
So this is a poem that actually didn't make it into the book. I had written a poem for Koki and Mokeen's wedding when they soul joined with each other. And part of the culture is when you decide to soul join, you either write a poem or hire your best friend who's, a singer-seer to write words. Hire your bardic friend.
I mean, if you have them, use them.
Yeah, to write poems and make it beautiful for your wedding, because they're very much a bardic, group. Singing, storytelling is very big part of the culture. And so if you're going to join souls with someone, which doesn't happen with all the so they live thousands of years. So they don't necessarily marry and stick with someone their entire life. They do a lot of changing of partners because, thousands of years.
Long time. Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes there are souls that belong together and they get an elevated status, and they magically join their souls. They trade parts of their souls with each other to keep their souls safe as they move on to the afterlife. And when you do that, you get like a little bit of like telepathy. You get increased bond. It's like when you have your life partner, which my husband and I do this a lot, like you have those random moments. Oh, I'm at the store. I think we need da 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 da. And as I'm there shopping, oh, you're at the store. Can you buy da da da? Oh, I'm already here. It's already in the cart. Like those weird moments of that telepathy. And so I just enhanced that a little more. and playing with that. And so their souls are joined all the way until the afterlife. So I had the poem for that. And then I decided I'm going to do something I'm an overachiever.
I love it.
Koki gets to be like that. Like the characters have that. So I'm like, I'm going to hand scribe this really pretty poem on fancy paper that I happen to have handy because I craft and do stuff to de-stress. I do other artsy stuff to de-stress away from the computer. Also, it kept me from like looking at my ratings all day, which,
smart. You don't just refresh. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's real.
So I have this, and I actually was going to make another one. So also, I have a really pretty calligraphy pen. Well, it's
oh my gosh.
A pen, and where I put it, because I was going to show it off, because this was my gift to myself when I sent in the first manuscript to Rob. It is a really pretty dragon etched fountain pen.
So beautiful. Shiny and shiny.
Yes. And I actually have dragon's blood ink.
Right.
So it's actually written in dragon's blood ink. And I'll probably do one or two more, just because being offline is healthy.
Yep. And it's beautiful.
And I really like how it came out. I also have like 10 crappy versions over on the kitchen table.
I mean, okay. It makes me feel slightly better about your talent level, but also your talent level is absurd and I love it. It's amazing.
So that's that. I'm giving that, and I'll try and do two more. Depends on how my night goes. But for people who buy a copy of the book today by noon tomorrow, either tag me that you bought the copy or send me an email, trish@anovelfriend.com. Let me know that you bought a copy. Or if you leave a review for Heartwings Fire, because that's not quite yet a unicorn.
Correct.
And I would love to get unicorn status, which is 50 reviews. Either of those, and I will enter you in for the drawing of one of these.
Handmade by the author, special edition.
Yeah. Yes. So that's my giveaway.
I love it. So y'all heard it here first. As Charlie says,
mess everything up.
That's how we know. And then Jeremy has a question. What was the weirdest or most fun research you have done for the series?
Oh my gosh, I have a lot of really great research. So my husband has to go to Taiwan every so often for his job. And I knew that I wanted to look at, I've also done a lot of work with the different indigenous cultures in the US and abroad. And I love research in general, but my husband actually picked this up for me in Taiwan. It is, but it's only published in Taiwan. It's like a small press run, and it's based on this indigenous park, where it's basically like, we have historical reenactments parks for like, it's reenactment, but not actually reenactment because they're just living their lives, but they're doing it where people can see and interact and ask. So it goes through the different tribes, indigenous tribes in Taiwan.
That's cool.
It is so cool. So I had so much fun researching this. And then a lot of my fantasy writing and reading ends to be in like Western European or European based. So researching how you live in the jungle, survival in the jungle, foods in the jungle, what the natural things are, was really fascinating. One of the things I wanted to have, because I was hoping to chat with you guys, but I did not get my hands on, is they actually do have durian wine or durian whiskey. If you're not familiar with what durian is,
that's why I made this space.
Yeah. Durian is known as the king of fruits in a lot of Southeast Asia. And I use it in a lot of the insults in here too, but it's also, I think it does taste really good. Most people don't. I also like stinky cheese.
Fair. You have that in common with my husband. Yeah.
But durian literally actually smells like roadkill plus rotting onions. That is what it smells like. Very, very strong. So it's not allowed to be easily imported into the US.
Sure. Yeah.
But I wanted to try and get the wine or whiskey. Had no luck. We'll that's a future thing. I've got more books. We'll have somebody.
Yeah, I love it. Yes, we will toast to this at some point.
Yes, but looking up durian wine, durian whiskey, and how that works in various cultures was a lot of fun as well. Because I also like food.
Same.
And Mokeen likes to cook. He's a healer. He's like the equivalent of like the kitchen witch kind of healer. Like he has this perpetual broth that he feeds people. He knows how to make really good teas, all those things. So playing with food, playing with what you have there, how you prepare food, and all of that was just so much fun.
Yes. Plus, I would be very interested to know what fermented durian is like, because like you just think about how very different potatoes become when they become liquid. I'm interested. Like, is it sweet? Is it sour? Does it still stink? Because sometimes alcohol smells terrible and tastes amazing.
Right, exactly.
Or vice versa. So
yeah, because I've had durian shakes at some of the Vietnamese restaurants I've gone to.
yeah.
And again, the taste doesn't match the smell, which is weird because smell is so attached to taste.
Yeah.
And so I'd be really curious to see what the fermentation does to it.
Yeah. They have a new life goal. All right. So by book 5, this is going to happen.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, Lord. Jeremy, why? Jeremy would like to know, have you done research?
Oh, my gosh. Oh. That's okay. I'm going to wait on that because that is for book 3. That's for book 3.
So come back for book 3, where Charlie and Jeremy can yell porn the whole time. And we can learn more about dragon sex organs.
Yes.
Porn.
Yes.
You stay off the screen, you. You see, you encourage Charlie, you see?
Yep.
I love everything. Such goofs.
Yes.
Okay, so speaking of book 5 and 4 and 3, how was your process for book 1 the same as book 2? Did it change wildly? Yeah, like what was
it? Yeah, it changed wildly because, like I said, book 2 was supposed to be half of book 2, which is now book 3. And again, so book 2 and 4, I wrote at once. That's the 250-ish, which I knocked down to about 214. So I, went through it, cut it, and split it. And I had to rework the ending a lot. Rob was awesome with helping me make the ending more ending-y.
Nice. He's pretty great. Yeah.
He is. I love Rob. So writing all of that and getting that done. And then I had a lot of people, again, because also I'm not Asian. I also have characters of various different genders and different sexualities because, again, lives for thousands of years.
Correct.
And many indigenous cultures have different ideas of gender and all of that. So I actually had friends who are indigenous, friends who are, and had them read it. Yeah. So as I was producing and sending them stuff, they were sending me stuff back. Yeah. It was a lot of fun, but it was also exhausting. And yeah, so that was completely different. And so now that I'm with book 3, which started off with like the 30-ish thousand that was there, because that we're back to Birya and Hawush the dragon. That's a little over 50K now because I'm working on that. And playing with that is different because now I have the background. So part of also, I'm very much a discovery writer. So figuring out more of the motivations for the prince, for what the bigger danger is that the prince is part of, getting that in, because part of what happens in book 3 is Birya goes and has to do some research of what's going on with her magic, with all of that, and now I've got a better idea of that and how I can communicate with that. So that one actually has like a bit of an outline.
Oh my gosh, gasp. Every outline.
Oh. Yeah. Scary.
Yeah. Don't you also though, you've kept like a huge like world Bible too, right? Didn't you say you had like thousands of words of
Yeah, I literally have like a 14,000 word world Bible just for the Jungle Fae. And then the one for the Huataran people, the humans, for Birya's, I've got that one's in process, and that's at about 5K now. But it includes the character list and the character names and all that stuff that you double check for.
Well, Sure. And it's I would say it's a little easier potentially to be a discovery writer in a novel, because I feel like they're all different ways to write. The way to write is the way that works best for you, flat out.
Yeah.
Keeping all of these things organized across 5 books without like a detailed outline, you don't necessarily need a detailed outline if you're very clear on like the background logistics, the framework of your world.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yes.
makes sense. 14,000
Yeah.
words is very impressive, though.
Yeah. And also it goes into like, I need to put together like the celestial aspect of how the deities work and the magical creatures and the folk heroes, magical, those. Because we also met between in book 1, sort of, who is the demon wife,
Yeah.
through all the folk tales. And that becomes rather important. So even though the Jungle Fae don't have that tie to Hutaro, and that there's some hints there.
Oh, I love when things are like secrety secrets and you can start to put it together as you read through. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
So
this one also has like an epilogue chapter that so I didn't have an epilogue chapter for Heart, Wings, and Fire because it has, and this is one of the things that I like. It had like an ending, like to me it was very satisfying because it happened without spoilers.
The whole thing happened. Yep, a thing happened. It happened.
Yeah, and so I added a little epilogue of some characters that we haven't seen since book 1, and what's going on there, and I had a lot of fun with that teaser.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. Oh man, that fully. I was gonna ask something and it is gone from my brain because now I'm like, who is it? Who do we see? What do we know about now? I'll find out when I read it. Do you, speaking of the beginning of the book, if not the end, I heard that folks tonight are in for a treat with the first 2 chapters. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want to do that and I will get off the screen?
Sure. Okay.
All right. Come back. Just tell me when you're done and I'll return.
Okay. Well, hopefully you'll be able to hear by my voice.
All right. We'll see. Here we go. Challenge accepted.
All right. So, book 1, Shadows of Leopards. Chapter 1, Things That Shouldn't Be. Chapter 1, Things That Shouldn't Be. In swirling darkness, fear redefined itself for Blessed Hunter Koki. Her insides twisted in one direction, her body the other. Images and memories, familiar and foreign, pelted her foggy awareness. Birya, her Birya, Birya's dragon, poisoned illness, mountains and giants' magic, shaking, breaking earth. Reflective black stone made by fire in a cave of boiling water. Mokeen's spirit call, drawn in blood. Years of muscle memory allowed Koki to land on a stable crouch that at least felt familiar. Her stomach heaved. She spit out burning bile. Smells assaulted her. Smells she knew intimately. Smells that carried yet a different fear. Years of experience sharpened Koki's mind and senses with her next breath. She was still in danger. This danger she knew well. She was in Lacan's home. A particular room in Lacan's home, though hardly penetrated its walls, walls within walls, for it was a room hidden in the central strangler fig lattice within the magic leader's large hut. Blood of beast and person mingled with pre-storm air, sticky, still, and prickly. She needed to leave. Now. No. As soon as it was safe. As soon as she wouldn't be discovered. Panic had its purpose in survival. But this wasn't the place. Her heart beat faster than the wings of hummingbirds. The cut on her hand from which she'd drawn Mokeen's spirit sigil pulsed. Not pain, but something through the tacky blood still seeping over her palm tugged at her attention. Like a thread or a string, pulling. Like lightning, Mokeen's spirit call rune flashed in her vision, illuminating the secret room. Koki flinched deeper into a crouch, barely containing a gasp. A person-sized reflective surface, like the stone the dragon had fired, balanced upright on a stand of ancestor wood. Her stomach twisted even more. Ancestor trees were never to be harmed. What had become of the souls entrusted to this tree? Had Lacan always had such a thing? It had always been after sundown, darker than now, when she'd pulled Mokeen from this room, tied, bleeding from the runes his father had carved into his flesh, and writhing from painful magic burning his blood. She'd observed their surroundings only to ensure their safety. That sensation in her cut hand yanked at her heart. No, not quite. Like a string from her heart to her hand, something tugged her in the direction of the room's hidden entry. Koki crept closer to the hinged wall. Dizziness clung to every movement, forced her to focus more on moving her body than attending to her surroundings. The silence of the hut was more distracting than the loudest spring birdsong raucous. Trembling climbed her limbs, and she had to stop and lower to a knee lest she fall. I need to get out of here. Koki mentally shouted her uncooperative body. I need to find Mokeen. As if to confirm her intuition's declaration, another pulse rippled from her heart to her hand toward the wall. But she couldn't move. Koki shook as if from fever, or when she'd lost all that blood from the leopard fight. If she were discovered, and discovery was more likely if she tried to move in this state, she'd be in danger worse than that attack. What that danger was, she didn't know, but she trusted her instincts. You know what you need to do. Mokeen? He'd spoken in her mind a few times when it had been necessary. This didn't quite feel the same, though she perceived the thought in his voice. The thought was correct. Koki closed her eyes and focused on her breathing. She willed herself to be unseen, unheard, undetected. Glamour rippled around her. Breathing, breathing. She knelt on both knees, a more stable posture. The ground within this room was damp, almost muddy. She thanked her sharp senses for noticing such a detail and thought no further on the observation. It wasn't immediately necessary for her survival. Still no sounds. For the light that did filter in, it was daytime. Lacan's hut was just outside the village, somewhat isolated, as was the home she and Mokeen had built, as far from his as possible. The sounds of the village wouldn't reach the house, but there were no birds, no animal movement, not even at a distance. It was more silent than the barren lands heading toward the mountains. The silence swirled Koki's nausea like a spoon stirring a pot. Wrong. Considering what Koki knew Lacan had done in this room, he'd likely glamored it to buffer the noise coming in or going out. Ancestors and gods. Koki began the thought as a profanity. Then, like when instinct positioned her spear before she focused on a target, she gestured in prayer. Ancestors and gods, all blessed spirits and souls, please. Please what? Just please. With my heart and spirit. Please. The sting of tears and her bleeding palm impinged upon her awareness. Pulling a cloth from her belt pouch, she wrapped her cut hand and got to her feet, doing her best to smooth the almost mud and hide any blood she'd spilled. Proper washing could come later. Her instincts spoke more primally, and Koki surrendered to them. As if she stalked prey, her feet found the quietest, most secure steps. Her bandaged hand slipped below her leopard tunic, palm pressing to where her heart beat behind her chest bone. The beating slowed, as did her shaking, with each breath Koki took. She cracked open the secret room's door, and sounds filtered into her heightened senses. Unfamiliar birds cooed nearby, as if from a coop. Odd, as Mokeen's family had never kept birds, but not immediately important. From farther away, she picked up the sounds of the village common. Even considering the distance, the sounds of her people seemed less. Not muted, but fewer? More worrisome than unexpected birds, but still not an urgent concern. No one was nearby. She could leave unseen and unheard, so she did. That strange sensation pulled her heart and wrapped hand to the east, toward the ritual circle that held the council and holy meeting huts, the blessing pools, the speaking and ritual dais. Swallowing hard, Koki followed the call, trusting it like her hunting senses. She cringed upon passing a pile of decomposed bamboo and branches, once the hut in which Mokin had apprenticed under Mother Healer Choli, his mum. Koki was surprised anything still remained of it, that Lacan had never removed it, after over a century of abandonment. Reaching for her spear, Koki found only air and scowled. She vaguely remembered being unable to hold her spear after pulling the poisoned arrow from her soldier and running. She cursed. Then again, no weapons were permitted in the sacred areas. Willing glamour to cover her, she broke into a jog with surprisingly less pain than she expected. Koki gave thanks that she'd lost her spear. The last thing she needed was to offend the gods and ancestors. Chapter 2. Protecting Sacred Rites. The sense of wrong struck Koki, so she maintained her glamour and followed the perimeter of the village as if she were tracking a stupid leopard. The only acceptable time to engage with leopards was if they presented immediate danger. Predators, her father had explained, normally share a mutual respect. If they crossed a leopard on the hunt, the leopard would give fair warning, and they'd seek other prey. Similarly, a smart leopard, should it come upon them mid-hunt, would back down if given an appropriate warning. Smart leopards sensed the glamour around the village and avoided it. Stupid ones, adolescents seeking their own territory, or ousted dying leopards with nothing to lose, were a danger to their people, so they needed to be killed. It had been a while hunting a stupid leopard with her father, and nearly getting killed, that she'd first come to know Mokin and his mother. A hunter hunting a hunter. That was the taste of the present danger. That was why her mind had wandered to her father. Those lessons mattered now. Koki had killed 2 leopards in her life, nearly died both times. Both times, Mokin and his mother had kept her alive. I just need the lessons, not the memories. A new scent made her wrinkle her nose. Funeral smoke. Hiding in a thick flowering bush, Koki dropped to her knees again and squeezed her eyes shut. Counting her breaths, she slowed her heart from hummingbird wingbat speeds. Who? How? The smoke didn't smell fresh, but it didn't smell like residue from the prior day. Bodies were brought to the ancestor grove at twilight after being purified for a night and a day. Who would let a funeral smoke fire go out? Her mother would never permit such sacrilege. Something is wrong. 1 more breath. 2. No one was around. No one crossed her planned path. Koki circled the trees just behind the meeting huts, curving closer like a snail shell. As she reached the storage hut, she saw a figure crouching with a spear, looking toward the dais. Uncanny recognition hit Koki's stomach with the force of a sun-bear mother protecting her cubs. She doubled over, gripping the corner of the hut. She knew that body intimately. She'd held that spear reverently. But that spear didn't belong in that hand. That body should not be in that posture. Another shadow-stained reflection. She followed the gaze of the man who in that moment both was and was not her soul-joined husband. Upon the dais were 3 shrouded bodies. From this distance, at this angle, Koki couldn't discern who was bound within the loosely woven funeral cloth. Her mind sought to fill the scene. Her heart protested. Her discipline fractured, and a small whimper escaped her lips. The shift in the man only paces away was subtle. His glance to ensure no one else was around was familiar, what she would do. He turned toward her, spear arm relaxed, because he knew her before being her. My Koki! Mokin's voice resonated into her skin and flesh, her blood and her bone. She didn't see him approach before falling into his arms. That he didn't speak aloud meant there was still danger. Her instincts surrendered to her need to sink into him, to clutch him so close their souls could embrace. He rubbed his hands over her body, kissed her head and neck and shoulders. No more words formed in her mind, but she felt his every thought and question. I love you. You are here. How are you? How is Buria? Is she safe? How are you here now? I'm sorry. I love you. I hurt for you and with you. I love you. Koki hadn't the mental strength, nor Mokeen's magic, to speak only in her mind. Her glamour was strong, this she sensed. She spoke in whispers against his ear. What's happened? Mokeen pulled away. The sensation was almost painful. He held her shoulders until she stood without shaking. Then he led her back to where he had been hiding. When she reached for the spear, her father's spear, he stopped her. It's better no one knows you're returned. Koki frowned. So much in what he said. So much that Mokeen carried her father's spear. She didn't argue. She trusted his caution as he trusted her glamour enough to speak aloud. Looking back toward the dais, she began to shake again. Mokeen squeezed her shoulder. In her peripheral vision, she could see his eyes, their shine more silvery than hers. If she looked into them, she'd know. No. If she looked into his eyes, they'd confirm. She'd break and be useless. Like with first spring water so cold it could stop one's heart, Koki needed to temper herself before accepting what she knew. There is no funeral smoke. Why is my mother not tending the fire? Mokeen flinched. That was answer enough. She flexed her hand to grip his arm as hard as she needed, mindful of her hunter nails, so she wouldn't fall as helpless as a newborn. And you carry my father's spear. He gripped her with equal intensity. I'm so sorry. I tried. I know. And she did. The despairing failure in his whisper steeled her. Senses sharp again, she smelled some fresh smoke, saw the barest wisps coil through the dais, between the bodies. The smudge was not entirely out. Purification was still happening. Who's in charge of the fire? Several of us. I can rekindle it here with magic, but it needs holy resin. He nodded. Koki faced him fully. You're here, with my father's spear, ensuring the fire doesn't go out, and their bodies can be brought to the grove. He nodded again. And that nothing happens to the bodies. Another nod. Because you have reason to believe someone would harm their passage to the grove. Mokeen looked away. Same answer as a nod, but worse. Koki didn't speak what the guilt on his face told her. She shifted away from Mokeen. You may be able to keep the fire going, but you can't add fuel or resin. He tightened his grip on her arm. I know. His expression said the situation was more complicated than he could immediately explain. Koki gritted her teeth and yanked away from him, or tried to. He shifted with her, kept his hold. Her eyes widened as Mokeen's face darkened with an unspoken no. She could break his hold, but there were more potential reasons not to. I'm still Blessed Hunter. I can tend the burn, handle the incense. For my parents. It was all she could do to keep her voice whispered, though she felt her glamour waver slightly. She closed her eyes to center herself, strengthen their camouflage. You're not the last blessed, and your parents aren't the only ones being purified, Mokeen said without loosening his grip. Koki stopped fighting as his words sank in. 3 bodies. Who? Sohoto Godspeaker. 2 Godspeakers? She shook her head. Her eyes throbbed painfully with the news. 2 Godspeakers slain, and you, the Mother Healer, must protect their passage to the grove. Not just me. It's just my turn. She continued to shake her head. In what circumstances should any healer, much less the only Mother Healer, take arms to protect the bodies of God-speakers? God-speakers! More than one of the Holy Order. What is happening? Instead of answering, Mokeen gripped the spear and crouched, ready to attack. Small strands of beads whispered against the ironwood shaft, her father's tool to teach moving silently without glamour. Senses snapping to hunter sharpness, Koki matched Mokeen's posture, ready to claim the spear and keep her husband from violence. 2 of the giant soldiers came around the elders' meeting hut, each carrying a stick she recognized as flame-spewing weapon. They shouldn't be carrying weapons here. Mokeen is carrying a weapon. Here. They were technically outside the sacred area, in the peripheral, but it was too close. The soldiers were most certainly profaning the area with their weapons. Damn, Joaquin breathed. He looked at Koki from the corner of his eye and edged close enough that their arms touched. A buzz of magic preceded his mental message. Iaki's hiding by the pools, ready with fuel and raisin. The soldiers are late in their patrol. I can distract them, but Iaki could use your glamour to get below the dais. Koki furrowed her brow, running a hand up and down Joaquin's shoulder and arm. Her palm and fingers prickled as if splashed with puffish venom. She'd only ever felt his magic this much when his father had forced it upon him. I'm fine, he murmured, pulling away some. I will be fine. Go, please. He reclaimed her hand that had been on his shoulder and kissed her knuckles. And don't be seen, please. The soldiers paused near the bodies, studying them with a gross fascination that made Koki want to gut them both. Instead, she pressed a firm kiss against her husband's shoulder. I won't be seen. She adjusted her glamour and headed around the ritual circle's perimeter. A screaming whistle in the air above and behind her. The sound, though surprising, was familiar. Whooping shouts, not from Joaquin's voice, but another she knew and trusted, called what sounded like attempted profanities in the giant language. Some of her hunter's tension released, and she curled her lip into the smallest hint of a mirthless smile. It took a moment to see Ayaki. The youth was, as Joaquin had said, by the pools, tucked beside a small table with bowls and shelves. Koki had to admire T's glamour manipulation, particularly at such a young age. She gave 3 short, low whistles to alert Ayaki of her approach. Anxious curiosity dissolved into welcome recognition on a face older than Koki recalled in barely half a phase of the full small moon. As soon as she settled beside Ayaki, youthful arms were flung around her neck in a hug that lasted all of one choked sob. After that brief moment, Koki found herself partnered with an adult, forced into a child's body. The instinct-sharp hunter fell into a pattern of silent communication. A subtle nod confirmed a small head tilt, suggesting it was safe to proceed. An unnerved piece of Koki disconnected to observe yet one more person transformed into an almost unrecognizable being. Her soul-joined healer husband, wearing a hunter's posture, carried her father's spear, and now this child she'd helped deliver as a babe only some 30 years earlier moved beside her like an adult, nearly through apprenticeship, ready for a second name. Undetected, the two ducked beneath the dais, Ayaki handing Koki the damp cloth to protect her breath. The taste of dying smoke, the smell of bodies more than half a day into purification, and the awareness of those bodies belonged to her parents and to Ayaki's father, her mother's friend, who'd attended Koki's own birth. The squealing arrows, the taunting shouts, her friends, family, other villagers. The touch of Ayaki's hand on her arm, the mournful, sympathetic invitation shining in T's eyes. Stimulation to all senses snapped Koki back to her body. She took the offered satchel of peat, resins, and oil-scented wood chips, while Ayaki fluttered a preserved iridescent wing where Koki knew Joaquin would be looking. In a good death, her people would feel the call of the ancestor grove, open their homes to friends and family for a final celebration, and then slip out at twilight to make their last walk to the ancestor grove. Soul-joined pairs would lie down together in the root-framed beds of warm pools. Koki, as a blessed child of a God speaker, had helped her mother in the few purification ceremonies she remembered. Only one ceremony, for Sahimo, Chimayo's mother and the village seer, had happened in Ayaki's life. As Koki spread the satchel's contents, the dying embers glowed brighter, passing their spark to the fresh peat, sizzling perfumed purification smoke. Singer Seer Sahimo's funeral had happened barely more than a full small moon cycle. Koki had been leading Birya toward the dragon, silently mourning and guilt-pained, having to abandon her dearest friend in her time of loss. While also a God Speaker's child, Ayaki would have been too young to assist in holy order ceremonies. Crouched below the bodies of their slain parents, Koki silently showed the proper way to layer peat and perfume, demonstrated the sacred gestures, and whispered the correct prayers just loud enough to teach. Ayaki joined her with the devotion of an apprentice, releasing yet another wave of guilt within the hunter. A child shouldn't have to learn rituals of death. When they gestured the end of their final prayer, a low trill echoed from 2 directions. Her heart warmed at the cherished sound of her youth, and she took the satchel and Iaki's hand. Mokeen had long ago mastered throwing his voice without magic. His signal let her know which of their secret places he'd be waiting for them to meet. And that is the first 2 chapters.
Oh my gosh. There were so many badass lines in that, Trisha. I need to know what happens next. Damn humans.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like that spear did not belong in that hand. Gave me goosebumps. Like that was
what I was going for.
Yes, like that was a perfect, like, there's denial, there's so much going on, this is not great, like, oh no. It's so foreboding, like, oh, so
Thank you.
So good. So folks, you're gonna want to keep reading that, so go ahead and get your copy. The link is in the chat. If you haven't gotten the first book, go get the first book immediately. Haley agrees. Amazing.
Thank you.
You need it. You
need
it.
So much.
And also agree, you do a great job reading. Holy goodness.
Thank you so much.
Oh, so good. Folks, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat because we're about to wrap up, which is crazy. Time makes no sense whatsoever. I don't understand. I do. So one question. So we get to hear a lot about the Jungle Fae in book 2, which is freaking awesome.
Yes.
What else do you think, like, as folks, fans of book 1, as they're about to dive into book 2, what do you think they're going to be most excited to learn or find out or see or what?
I think what I was excited writing about, what I think people will be excited seeing, is a thing happened at the end of book 1.
A thing.
And that thing has big repercussions that when I started writing, I didn't realize. And so seeing what Viria's choice to do that thing affected people she loved in a way that she wouldn't know. She doesn't know. And then also I think they'll be excited to see when Chimayo gets the visions and the little bits of input of Viria as things are happening to give you an idea of time.
Yeah.
And then also, we get to see the prince again.
As,
we all wanted to see the really awful bad guy that, of course, I specifically showed no body for.
Yeah. Surprise, not surprise.
And I really enjoyed giving an idea that he had a bigger plan. So you get to see little hints of that. And how he acts as a leader.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Also, Nicole agrees. Great reading.
Thank you.
Okay, so Trisha, besides these internet streets with these awesome books, where can people find you if they want to know more, if they want to hear behind the scenes, they want to get real excited for book 3? Where can they find you?
So I have a website. It is anovelfriend.com that I started when I started working as a freelance writer, journalist, editor, all of the above. On that, you'll also sign up if you you can sign up for my newsletter.
Do it.
Which I have a couple of very special things this newsletter, which goes out tomorrow just before LibertyCon. I have a few very special gifts just for newsletter subscribers. So if you want to get on the newsletter, you get free fiction from me, behind the scenes stuff, and also lots of cute kitty and horse pictures.
So important.
Yes, exactly. I'll actually be at LibertyCon in Chattanooga this coming weekend, leaving on Thursday. I have a bunch of conventions coming up. If you're in the New England area, I will be at ReaderCon in Quincy, Mass. NeCon at UMass Lowell. Those are in July. I may also be at the New England Comic-Con Extravaganza the weekend after LibertyCon if I have recovered.
Fair, yeah.
And I also will be at DragonCon in Atlanta over Labor Day weekend. And I'm usually on program. I'm on professional there, which is really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then Silver Scream Con, also in back in Massachusetts, which is a horror convention run by Ice Nine Kills. And then I'll be in Salem twice in October, and at the Merrimack Valley Halloween Book Fest in October.
Oh my
So yeah,
goodness.
I've got a bunch of stuff. I also do a lot of local bookstore things. I'm online. Oh, and I'll be teaching writing classes with the New England Horror Writers.
Oh, so cool.
Our new semester will start in September, and we do what we call the Master Toolbox. So we take one very, very specific writing thing and do a deep dive for it. So some of the topics this year are getting into the psychology of your villain.
Nice.
Reading out loud. So if you liked how I read, we're actually going to do a class on how to read out loud. Research, how to do research, how to contain your research, and how to hopefully not fall down too many rabbit holes.
Legit. Uh-huh.
Yep. We also are doing, I don't have the list in front of me, but if you're interested, look up the New England Horror Writers.
Yeah.
Which you'll find all the information on my website as well.
Yes. And like Charlie, there are horses. We're
yes.
in. So strongly recommend, if there is an author out there in the world that you love, like Trisha, go join their newsletter, because that is the best way to hear directly from the author, not strangled by social media or anything else. What's up? Like, what's going on? What you can find behind the scenes stuff. Hold on. The research rabbit hole they may have recently fallen into. Yeah, it's real. It's a real slippery slope up in there.
Yeah.
I am with Haley of the ... Definitely.
Yes. Oh my God. Like so much. I mean, especially since it's cultures that I've learned about. And then I have so many bookmarks on jungle trees and fruits and nuts and preparing stuff. There's like so many cool things that I learned. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's super fun. And then it's like also editing yourself down into the book. Like the number of times I have researched for hours and hours and hours for like a sentence. Yeah. We love the drive-bys. Whether they're
awesome.
Cats or husbands, always welcome.
Yes.
I do like the pass by. It's great. Like, nothing to see here, people.
I also am a terrible wife because I forgot to turn the lights on for him. And yeah, so.
I mean, he made it. He's safe. He's fine. He's fine.
Yes.
He seems great. Some people like Charlie and Nicole don't fall into the rabbit holes. They dive right in. I love it.
That too.
Yeah.
Yep.
The amount of research I did on quantum physics quantum physics, but quantum entanglement to very little of the actual science is a little out of control, but like hours. Hours. You don't become a science fiction author because you're not wildly enthused about nerdery. So, are we getting the cat?
I'm gonna try and get the cat if she cooperates.
It's a very important crowning achievement for today. Oh, look at that. Oh, sweet bear. And this is your new cat.
No, this is the old one. This is Gigi. Yeah, this is Gigi, the queen, the witch princess of the void.
Correct. The queen.
Yes. Surprisingly, Geralt Guillermo del Gato has not shown up yet.
He was turning off lights for your husband. It was fine.
Yeah.
Interesting. Awesome. All right, folks. Well, if you are going to LibertyCon in Chattanooga this weekend, you should definitely swing by with your new copy of this awesome book and get it signed by this fabulous author. Book 1 or book 2. You know, I'm sure she'll sign both.
I will.
I mean, you know, why not? And then you want both. So get you your dragon books. Go see Trisha. She'll be haunting New England in the best horror author way.
Yes.
It's very exciting. I will also be at LibertyCon this weekend, so
so shenanigans will ensue.
So you can see our shenanigans in the person if you like, if you're there. Also DragonCon. So excited to see you twice this year. Maybe we'll actually get to be on a panel. That's how we met, right? We first met.
So yeah. Yes. Yeah. And DragonCon's just so much fun anyway. So
much fun. DragonCon is not sold out, y'all. It is going to be 85 to 95,000 of your closest nerd friends, all gathered Labor Day weekend in Atlanta. So, you know, if your people tolerance and your budget will allow it, strongly recommend. So
very much.
It's very good times. So coming up, I'm supposed to tell you more things about the channel, and then we'll touch base with Trisha. Ready? So coming up tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, but tomorrow, you can catch Nick Plume, the fabulous Nicole.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So Trial by Inferno, book 1, she's already got 3 books done. She's working on book 4. So these, you're not going to have to wait on cliffhangers. They are coming. So you can find out more about Nick. Tomorrow, Jeremy will be interviewing her. So it might be more of a standard interview and a little less chaos, maybe? Maybe. We actually were, I think, very well behaved today for us, Trisha.
I think so, yeah. We toned down the chaos.
We did all our things. We have earned a LibertyCon, is what we have done.
Yes.
Oh, you're muted, so we didn't get it. Oh, sassy comment defeated. Womp womp.
So you did okay.
Who you? Anyway, also coming up potentially this weekend will be a CKP Last Call live at LibertyCon. Really depends on how many authors we can get together and how last call it is. But I would say keep an eye out Friday night. So what you can and should do is subscribe to this channel, because then it will send you a little thing of like, they're about to go live. Oh, you should get there. You should also like this video. There's a big old thumbs up, and you should be like, yes, I love Trisha and I love dragons. Because
and we love Marisa.
Oh, thanks. I'm okay. I'm here to talk about Trisha and dragons. So here we are. I am also here, as always, for the semi-organized chaos. That's what I bring to the table. Agreed, Charlie. Agreed.
And like, buy a book or leave a review and win a handwritten poem in fancy writing.
In beautiful, stupid, beautiful writing. So I've said to Trisha that she's like, I've called her an asshole, obviously, because she's so talented, and how dare she. I also believe I have called her a beautiful, terrifying witch. Because 1, she is, and 2, she's so effing insightful. Go figure that an author would be insightful when it comes to people. But she's brilliant and wonderful, and genuinely, if you get a chance to read her books, which you do, you can go buy 2 of them right now, or see her in the real life. Strongly recommend. Yeah. And
see if I have my tarot cards on me if you want to be scared.
If you want to talk to a beautiful, terrifying witch who's going to tell you about yourself and potentially make you cry. So keep your back to the people and your front to Trisha. And it's fine.
I'll pack tissues.
I didn't cry in a bar. It's fine. I did. It happened. It's fine.
I cry too, though. Like, I cry when I give, because I feel it.
Yeah. Oh, you're so wonderful. I'm so excited to see you in just 2-ish.
I know. Me too. Yes. Oh yeah. And so it's also, I have a bunch of tissue scenes too in this book, just to give you some warning.
That spear did not belong in that hand. Almost effing got me. I was like, happy Father's Day to us. Jesus. The timing. Ridiculous. Yep. Anyway, go buy Trisha's books. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Check out authors. Join the newsletters. That is really the key thing. Go review a book and tell everyone what you loved. And have a great night, and we will catch y'all soon.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Marisa. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, CKP Live.
CKP, thanks for being here. You're the best.
Thank you. You too.
Hey, buy the book. All right, Jeremy, play us off.